Hey, what's up, guys? Sam here. I'll be doing the free video for April 8th, 2022. So it's been a couple weeks since I last spoke to you good folks at the YouTube. Um, and the market itself hasn't really changed too much. The same things that were moving 2, 3 weeks ago are still moving today. At least the things that are moving the most consistently. So you have gotten like huge pops over the last 2, 3 weeks in Tesla and Nvidia, things like that. But those things they haven't really stuck the landing, right? So I was doing some scans and I wanted to find a couple of stocks for you guys that we could take a look at going into next week. That not only are trading exceptionally well, but have the potential for a little bit more. And I kind of just want to show you kind of the top of the list here, if you will, in terms of what I'm looking at. So the cleanest one that I'm seeing is Chevron, CVX. One thing that I'd like to see is everything in the trend oscillator down here look just like this, right? So if you ever catch a video from us or from me specifically, this is an ideal looking trend oscillator. Now, actually, right here, it's good. It is correctly positioned, green above red, both above the middle. But what you want to see when it gets this tight, right? Because you don't have this huge spread between the green and the red, like you do on the weekly, or even a nominal spread here like you have on the daily. When it gets this tight, what you want to see is the lower indicator give you a thrust signal, and that's a thrust signal right there, right? So then this has everything, right? You want to see the squeeze continuing to expand, check. You want to see the trend oscillator green above red, both above the middle, red rising, check. No sell signal at all, that's beautiful, check. Daily squeeze, perfect looking squeeze, check. Trend oscillator, check. We don't really care about this one. It's perfectly fine. Here, 195-minute squeeze. That's a beautiful check. This one, not perfect, but it is actually it actually is correct. And then here down here, you need the thrust signal, and that gets a check. So from a structure perspective, meaning what's up here on top of the chart, you have stacked moving averages. What does your momentum look like? The structure, check, check, check. So everything really grades out extremely well here, and this is just the best one that I'm seeing come up. Anywhere back to about 167.31, I think it's an opportunity to add to it, and you look to take the top off this thing. So in the event that it pulls back to 167.31, I think from there it can be taken up to 180, which is the next target on this pattern, and really it's almost unmatched. The second one, and it's going to be, you could just take your pick of the litter. This one's going to move more than Chevron, right? Because it's just a little bit more torqued, more levered in that sense. But this is Oxy, right? So I won't go through the whole song and dance because I just did it with Chevron, and they're basically the exact same setup. With Oxy, you'll get a little bit more outperformance in both directions. So in the event that the energy sector sells off a little bit, Chevron will sell off less, Oxy will sell off more, and vice versa if they go up. The last one on the list here for energy, and again, I just wanted, you can buy anything with energy, right? Because they all have the same setup. If you look at the XLE, you'll see the same setup. So that kind of covers the entire basket. But I want to bring you the three best of the best. And the other one that's the best of the best here is EOG. So number one, Chevron. Number two, Oxy. Number three, EOG. We could argue whether EOG is number two, but same thing, right? Same thing. Just on this one, you might need a little bit more of a pullback, whereas on Chevron, it's still on the launch pad right around that 167 mark. So I think that covers energy. Might as well just trade the three best ones. One that I added today, and we'll see if this can get the old break ski next week, is BTU. And again, we went through the process there on Chevron slowly just so that you can kind of see what I'm looking at. So I'm just going to put checks on everything and put an X on things that shouldn't look that way. So squeeze gets a check. There's no down movement there. Trend oscillator gets a check. Big spread between green and blue, or green and red, I should say. The high-low pro, you still have an active thrust signal from way back here that has not been reversed. Check, check, check. Squeeze going higher, check. Trend os perfect, check. This above 50, Check. Over here, do you have a squeeze? Check. Trendos, is that correct? That is correct. And here, holding the midline and trying to turn higher. I like that. That'll work for me. So that gets a check too. This is coal, right? So just it's energy, but just it's the cousin. And really, I don't see any reason to trade any other coal names. So if you like the idea, BTU's the trade. Another one that's going to be very similar is going to be CCJ. This one's uranium. But you can see here, notice how all of these charts all have the same setup, right? Now, I think something like Chevron is just going to be the easiest one because it's in so many different ETFs, as well as the Dow. But the CCJs of the world, or even the BTUs, might give you that outperformance as well. So the energy sector there is very hot, remains hot. The other one that other sector that I think is pretty darn good here, I'll give you two sectors. It's going to be XLP. Now on XLP, you're going to need a pullback here just because it's a little bit extended at this point. So anywhere around 77.5 here on XLP, I think is a good entry. And then you can go inside of the thing and try to find the best looking one. We were looking at Costco earlier this week. One that I think is a little bit of a dark horse. It's not necessarily inside of XLP, but it's going to be Target. And the reason that I like Target here is if you can get above this daily 200 right here, right there, then this thing's really going to go. One thing that I'm seeing here fresh with you guys that I really like is you see how the red line here on the indicator on the daily chart, it got above the white line here. That's an extremely rare moment in time that almost will never happen. It's just, I don't want to call it a sign of exhaustion, but it is a sign of extreme buying that's unsustainable. So this moment in time, you see how the red line then started going lower, and by the time you got back to that same exact high, the red line was way lower than it was back here. And you see how the green line could not get above the red. What's happened since? You see how the red line has come from way up here from the top white line. I'm tracing in the red, tracing in the red. And you see how the red line is coming in for a landing. I'll zoom in. At 50. That is perfect. That is perfect. So not only have you reset the red line, and that gives you the opportunity to launch this thing in a sustainable manner, but you've crossed the green over the red. So now you actually have the correct setup here. And on the weekly chart, you have a whole suite of thrust signals to the upside and a slingshot squeeze. So one of the better setups, certainly. It's a little gone here, so let it try to come in a little bit next week. I think anywhere around 225 to 230 aggressively is a good entry here on the Target. So I don't want to inundate you guys too much with wide number of picks because I don't think you need it. I think here, just stick with what's been working and let the stuff that hasn't been working, like tech or small caps. I think still small caps look like a pretty good short. Let that stuff prove itself to you before you branch out and do anything other than what's been working, which is commodities. So I'll go ahead and cut the video there, guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully you like the focus on just the absolute best of the best, because we could cover 100 different things, but why not just separate the best of the best and only focus on that until the market tells us to do something different. So before you go somewhere else on the YouTube, make sure you leave us a like. If you could also subscribe to us if you're not already subscribed, that really does help us, and we would certainly appreciate it. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and I'll see you next Friday for the next video. Cheers. Hey guys, this is Sam, and I'm the Director of Equities at Simpler Trading. I want to thank you for watching this video, and before you go somewhere else on the YouTube, I'd like to ask that you comment and like the video. It really does help us out with the algorithm and getting the message out to more folks who like to see our content. Also, be sure to click the bell notification and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything that comes out. If you want to watch us trade in real time using our own money, come over to simplertrading.com and learn how to sign up. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you for the next video. Cheers.